Hey everyone, it's Paula here. Hope you can hear me. I've got headphones in today because I'm going to bring our guest in. So I know there's quite a few of you who said that you're going to be coming in on the live, coming in to watch the live. So I'm going to give it a few minutes as well, and I'm also going to work out and get in Laura onto the live so that we're all set to go. Okay. I've also got my laptop with me so that I can see any comments as usual. Hope everyone's had a good day and you are really excited about this live like I am. Okay, I can see Laura here waiting in the background. I do want to give you all a chance to come on. As I said, I know that there's quite a few of you that are really interested in coming on and watching this live and interacting as well. Really, really important that excuse me, that you interact as much as you can. Laura is amazing at what she does, and she'll be able to answer your questions. Yeah, I'm giving it a few minutes, and I know people will pop on later on, and as we're going along, more people will be popping on. But I'm hoping to see a few more people coming in. So, Laura, I can see you, so I'm going to add you. Continue. You're connecting. Hey!
Hey, how are you?
I, I'm fine. I can hear you in my headphones. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's coming round through crystal clear. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Could you hear me? You could hear me before I brought you on, couldn't you? So
Yeah. I
that was
was watching.
it's it's weird having the headphones in actually because I'm
Yeah,
thinking, can people hear me? Can they not hear me? But this is just so much better than when we did the last one because everything was just all over the place then,
yeah. I
and
think
it's just so yeah.
technology was against us that day.
Yeah, it was. So we need to do another one actually on my profile, I think, as well. But I'm just keen to do one in this group, and we just had so many people who were just like really interested in sort of finding out more. And I knew it would be a popular topic. I just knew it would be. So, um, but um, but yeah, just waiting for people to pop on and and see. So, have you had a good day?
Mm. Yeah, very productive. Even
Yeah.
in lockdown, and we are trying to homeschool as well, which I've come to
Okay.
realize I am no teacher. Um, so I'll leave that to the professionals. But as well as that, we've been super busy building an online community and having lots of fun doing so, which is great. So
Yeah, I know. I love your posts. So they always um feel sort of energized, when I see your posts coming up. These sort of there's lots of energy and sort of things. So yeah, this will be like really good for people. Um, so I'm expecting people will pop in anyway. Because it's a funny time this time because you never know whether people have settle down for the evening or whether they're just getting kids to bed, and it can just work either way.
mm,
But I know it's probably about 15 people who said they were interested in the live, and also the fact that I know they can come back in and watch it on the replay, which is fine. So that's not a big deal. And I know that you will be there as well to answer any questions if they pop in questions sort of later on down the line. So before we get into it, I'm just going to remind everyone who is watching this, whether you're watching it on the live or you're watching this on the replay, just want to quickly remind you all about my free Beat the Wedding Planning Overwhelm Challenge workshop, which is coming up. And it is the 5th one that I'll be running. Every time I do these, they become bigger and better and more exciting. And so I've got like lots more exciting stuff coming up in this new challenge. So Laura, if there's anyone that you know who's planning a wedding, or if you can share it in your group and stuff like that, it's a free online challenge. So it runs for 5 days. I share tips and tasks every single day, and then they also have the opportunity to connect with me live in the evenings then and answer their questions. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. It starts on the 13th of July and registration is open, and there's a link on the in the cover pic of this group. And I've also been sharing links as well in this group anyway of the workshop. So what I want to do is to officially introduce Laura, but Laura is going to, you know, obviously put more meat on the bones. But I just want to say, you know, it's great to have you here. Great having you here doing this live. In my mind, I'd like to say, when I tell people about you and what you do, and I say that you help people dish the crash diets and concentrate on healthy eating while incorporating the food that they love. And I think it's just like a quick synopsis really of what you do. But as I said, it's great to have you here. And I just want to give you the chance to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and your background and your experience before we sort of get into things a bit more. So yes, over to you.
So my name's Laura, and I'm currently a mum to 2 boys. They are a preteen and a teenager. So this is normally the time of evening that we get to see them. So if you do hear any background noise, it's likely that Wi-Fi is not working or controllers need batteries. That's often the disturbing conversations we have. But I actually work within health and nutrition, and it hasn't always been my background. I actually started what you call your career in finance and in administration, and that's where me and my partner Justin met. Was I used to pay his wages when I worked within the payroll department, and he worked in leisure services. And I'd always actually been fine as far as weight. Weight was never an issue for me. But growing up, I actually had glandular fever a handful of times, and then actually resulted in me suffering with something called chronic fatigue syndrome. And chronic fatigue syndrome is an autoimmune disease. It's something that actually can't be cured. And I'd always suffered in my early like 20s with it, and it took years and years for a diagnosis. Doctors would often say, oh, it's reoccurrence of glandular fever, because that often stays in your system, and they were just unsure what to do. It's a condition that you can't pop pills and that's it, you're magically cured. So I had to find alternatives to help me feel better. And I tried herbal remedies, I tried homeopathic, Reiki, reflexology, all those kind of routes, and they'd help and the symptoms would reduce, but I never found anything where I miraculously felt amazing and yes, this is it, this is what I'm sticking at. So had loads and trials and tribulations, and then through my career I actually moved on to work for the Welsh Assembly government within food grants. And when I was actually working within the Welsh Assembly within food, I actually become to understand a lot of how food is produced. We're actually quite fortunate in Wales that farmers actually take a lot of care into their production of their beef burgers, their sausages, their egg production. You often find that their cows are often their best friends. So a lot of pride and integrity goes into the production of that all. But that's not always the case when things end up in the supermarket. A lot of food is either force-fed. A lot of our crops are force grown, so it actually lacks a lot of vitamins and minerals and nutrition density that we believe that we're getting. And it wasn't until I was in that job that it became apparent. So didn't think anything of it as far as like my health and my well-being until I just had my first baby, and I actually reached that point of desperation. My chronic fatigue actually continued to get worse and worse, and it started to have a ripple effect on other areas of my life, not just my own health and well-being, but it started to ripple on my working life. I found that I was having numerous days off sick, and with chronic fatigue, it's very much a condition that no matter how much you sleep, you don't feel rested. It started to affect my confidence and my want to do anything. I was very demotivated, but also it started to ripple on things like my relationship and my ability to be a mum. And often we find
I am listening to you. I'm just inviting a few people in. So if I'm looking a bit distracted. Okay.
And often you find a lot of people will do things out of inspiration or desperation. And for me, it was that element of desperation. I got to a point where I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And Justin, my other half, he'd already been involved in the nutritional company that we're partnered with. And he just said to me, well, why don't you just look at what you're eating? And at that time, I was very much what you call a carbohydrate junkie, should we say. I loved my beige foods. I loved my pizza. I loved things like my cheese on toast.
Oh, I know. I'm exactly like that as well.
And what I come to realize was I was fueling my body completely ineffectively. And it was actually at my detriment that I thought weight wasn't an issue. So I didn't think as food as something that could fuel me. I always thought, well, you eat to survive and it doesn't matter what it is. As long as you're getting something in your body, then that's great. And never calorie counted, never actually took much notice on the nutritional value on the back of the packet until I had to. So actually decided to look more in depth into nutrition and how different foods affect your body, and actually come to realize that I was fueling my body completely the wrong way. What I was finding is a lot of the carbohydrate heavy foods, what they were doing was spiking my blood sugars, and then I was ending up with like a sugar crash and wanting to sleep. I was finding I was over consuming or over binging on things like alcohol, which then a hangover didn't just last a day, it would last the weekend. And again, it was just things, little gradual things that were detrimental and just weren't serving me well. I didn't really know much about things like omega-3s or vitamins and minerals. So actually just decided to layer certain things in. So looked at layering in certain, a specific amount of protein, so that I was fueling my body effectively, because your whole body is actually made up of protein, and it's like the building blocks of your body are protein. So you need protein, but also protein replenished throughout the day in order to function. Also, then what I had to do was have a look at certain foods like my carbohydrates, just looking at healthier alternatives. So I very much didn't cut anything out, and I'm not an advocate for diets. I'm not an advocate for deprivation. I'm very much the kind of person, if someone says you can't do something, I'm going to want it even more, which we often find with a lot of people, and why they struggle with that whole diet mentality. So I just made some simple swaps and just become a bit more educated, and through my own experience, it gave me then the confidence to make healthier food choices going forward. And what actually happened was I got an amazing result. I got an amazing immune result. I've actually managed to control my chronic fatigue through supporting my immune system with sufficient vitamins and minerals and things like magnesium that I layered in. But also what actually happened was where I increased my protein intake and reduced certain carbohydrates, increased fats, which a lot of people often think fats are bad for you, which they're not. They're actually really good for you, just the right kind of fats. I actually managed to gain lean muscle and drop body fat. And today I'm actually 2 stone heavier, yet 2 dress sizes smaller. So
It's amazing, isn't it?
what I'm now an advocate for is very much of that whole mentality of ditch the bathroom scales, because they are not the be all and end all. Yes, they can be used occasionally as a guide, but that just
Hmm.
doesn't define you. That shouldn't define you.
No.
What should define you is those non-scale victories. They're the things that actually need celebrating far more than what a number on a set of scales say. So things like dress sizes are always important. How you feel, how you look, your skin, your hair, your nails, that immune health, those energy levels, those are the things that we like to celebrate. But what
Yeah.
then happened was, after I got a great result, I was just fell into the coaching element, because I just wanted other people to feel as good as I did. I went from almost that tired, lethargic, miserable mum to someone that did a complete 180 and was energized, and people just couldn't believe the difference in how did I have energy from
It
8 o'clock in the
does.
morning.
It does. It does change you, doesn't it? Because, people say the thing about you are what you eat. And, when you're eating different foods that make you feel that just sluggish and, there's no energy and you wonder why you're feeling like that. And then it suddenly dawns on you, it is because of what I'm eating, the stuff that you're eating. As soon as I hear this all the time, and I know myself, as soon as I sort of change what I'm eating, if I know I've been very, just lazy in what I'm eating, as soon as I start to sort of go back to being quite healthy in what I eat, um, everything changes, my mood changes, my energy changes, it is so important what we put inside our mouths.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and a
So
lot of
yeah.
people can either be spiraling out of control, or they can be spiraling into control. So it's bringing things to the forefront and like removing them from your blind spot as such, because sometimes we don't realize we're doing it, or it takes a shock or a scare for us to go, right, now I need to
Mm.
change something. So what we very much do is help people bring it to their attention to start off with, and then just start making simple swaps. Because a lot of people, how they often fail is they'll either try to change too much too soon, and they get that overwhelm and that paralysis sets in, or they look at all the information, they do their research, and they get bombarded with conflicting information, so don't even try. So what we
Yeah.
try and do is very much lead with that education. Often we find a lot of people's problems actually sits in their breakfast, and similar to if you're building a house, you need those great foundations, and often you'll find people's breakfast is the problem. They're either having something that is very
Yeah.
carbohydrate heavy, so their blood sugars are up or down, or what we find is 48% of the population don't have anything at all. So they're in that
Oh, yeah.
starvation mode, and when your body's in that starvation mode, it actually holds on to fat. And if you're doing that day in, day out, day in, day out, that fat just goes on and on and on and on. So again,
Yeah.
we just help people layer
Yeah.
these things in.
Yeah. I mean, it is this whole thing of, it is a cycle, isn't it? It's just you go round and round in circles doing the same thing all the time, in terms of, what we eat, and then what we don't eat, and then what we eat and what we don't eat. It is just a vicious circle sometimes. Um, Talking in the context of this group, and the brides and brides to be, and obviously the couples that I work with, particularly brides. Um, the main thing I hear all the time is, oh, well, I bought my dress, and a lot of the times they tend to buy their dress in a smaller size and hope that they're going to lose weight into it. And then they start panicking. Then it's like, oh my gosh, I've got all this weight to lose, and I'm just not going to be the right size. I can't fit into my dress, and it's going to be awful. And the whole emphasis is put on the fact that they want to lose weight just for that purpose, just to get into the dress and just for the day. So it's not the bigger picture. So it gets to be very, it's like a frantic thing of like, oh, let's just starve myself to get into my dress. And then afterwards, it's back to what you were doing before. Um, so, um, So I think, from the point of view for brides, what sort of it is a change of lifestyle, isn't it? It isn't just about losing weight just to get into a dress, is it? I mean, what's your sort of tips around, how they should be thinking in terms of, preparing for their day?
Yeah, so you very much want to start with the end in mind, and we do this a lot when we work with people. Is we have them set themselves some goals, set themselves some targets, but any weight or any inches that they do lose, that they do it in a healthy way, because the last thing you want anyone to do is, if they do lose a significant amount of weight or even a minimal amount of weight, that of course, if they haven't fixed the habits, then what will happen is that weight will go back on, plus an average of anything between 40 and 60% more. So yes, like, you can crash diet, you can do things the unhealthy way, but it's not also about how you look and feel on your wedding day. How do you want to look and feel on your honeymoon? Because the weight can actually go back on just as quick as it came off, if not sometimes quicker. So what you need to do is prepare ahead. Like, I know a lot of brides will plan their wedding day years in ahead, months ahead. So do the same thing when it comes to your health result. Yes, and yes, we want to get you like a body composition result, but the health result is actually the ultimate thing. You want to improve and make those lifestyle changes that can be long term, not those quick fixes. You'll always find it is a lot easier if you and your partner can do it together, because you're far more likely to succeed when you can do things with other people. Actually, you increase your chances by about 60% if you can do it with other people. That's because you've got that accountability element, but also when it comes to cooking dinner, making those food choices, when you're cooking as a family or as a partnership, it's a lot easier that you're cooking the same things for each other and not cooking two separate dishes. Because again, if you're having to cook two separate dishes or two separate meals, or one's having healthy, one's having not so healthy, it's a hurdle that you have to jump over. It becomes difficult, and then people are of that mindset, right, this is too hard, I'm giving up. But when you're doing things together, you champion, you cheerlead each other, and you help each other to get a result. But yeah, planning ahead is very important. Having someone to hold you accountable, again, is really important. Logging your food, you will also find, is very beneficial. You'll actually find a lot of people overconsume by about 3 times more than they should if they don't write things down. I always say,
it's portion control, isn't it? It's that portion control. Like, I know I love big meals, especially what I like eating. So I tend to fill my plate up with all the healthy stuff. So I'll have lots of veg in there, and like squash, butternut squash mash and stuff like that. Things that I know that are healthy, because I do like a big meal. I'm not one of these people that have this little tiny plates and think, oh, well, I'm just going to eat this bit of stuff and hope I'm going to be okay. I like to see that I've got like a good meal in front of me. So what I'll do is then I will, fill it with all the things that is good for me, and, rather than the rubbish stuff. So
yeah, portion control is a good one. And probably the biggest problem people have is portion control as far as their different, what we call macronutrients. So when we look at a lot of our customers' plates, it's very carbohydrate heavy, and they don't think of things like protein and good fats, or they consider all carbohydrates equal, whereas actually you'll find your fibrous fruits and veg are slower releasing carbohydrates and help you keep fuller for longer, whereas your starchy carbohydrates, like your potatoes, they actually are fast acting carbohydrates, so they like spike and then drop those blood sugar levels. Also, it's really important with every meal you have that protein, because that's going to help you to retain lean muscle, help you actually to burn calories. And protein is actually a macronutrient that can't be stored, so it needs replenishing every 2 or 3 hours. So a lot of our clients, we actually encourage them to eat more, not less, because we need to keep that metabolism ticking along and that engine to keep burning. So a lot of our clients will eat 5 or 6 times a day to keep that metabolism ticking along, and that actually helps them to then shrink in inches as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that is hugely important, isn't it? About, the combinations of foods that you eat. That
Yeah.
makes such a difference. And again, as you say, people don't think about that. They're just not, they're not thinking about, what am I eating rather than. And one of the things for me is I've always been quite aware of carbohydrates, how much I'm eating in terms of carbs and, veg. I've always been quite balanced with my food. So even though I know that obviously there's times that you just want to eat whatever, I am quite aware of it. But one of the things that I've always been quite surprised about is this trend of people, when they have like chips, they have bread and butter with it. And like a chip butty, and that's never been a thing. I was like, for me, I used to look at it and think, even when I'm not on a diet, I used to think, why would you have bread and butter and put chips in it if you've already got loads of carbs in chips? So why are you putting it in bread and making a sandwich? But it seems to be such a popular thing for people to do, and just carbohydrate overload for me.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to
Yeah.
those spirals. A lot of people, because where they eat a lot of carbohydrates or simple carbohydrates, their body actually craves it even more. And what happens is
Yeah.
you'll find like carbohydrates turn to something called glucose, and glucose is actually a sugar. Sugar is actually the most addictive like substance you'll ever consume. It's far worse than any class A drug, and people then get into that vicious cycle of, I need sugar, I need glucose. Yes, we need it for that energy production of our brain, but a lot of people become addicted to it. So what tends to happen is when they eat more carbohydrates, they crave more carbohydrates, and again, they're just
Right.
spiraling out of control, and you get that taste for it. And bread and butter, yes, we love it because it tastes nice. It's often, if it's warm
Yeah.
from the oven, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
I
Um,
know.
and then you see people smear it with tomato ketchup and God knows what else, and they
Oh
don't
my God.
realize, yeah, at the detriment to their waistline. No, and plus
Yeah.
whatever else is going on inside their body, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, so what is your um take on sort of the importance of good food and your mental well-being? Because obviously, you're planning for a wedding. There's going to be a lot of stressful stuff going on there, anxieties and, whatever. Obviously, that's why I'm running this workshop, is just like helping people get over that whole overwhelm thing. But, a lot of brides are going through that anyway. And so what's your sort of take on this thing, about their mental well-being if they're not eating healthily, if they're not looking after themselves, and just going into this whole spiral of crash diets and things like that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so again, eating nutritionally dense foods is hugely important when it comes to your mental health, because what you'll actually find is when you get a good source of vitamins and minerals and you get good nutritious foods, that can actually help release things what are called dopamine levels. And dopamine levels are those feel good factors. You actually get dopamine levels from eating things like chocolate, and dark chocolate actually has a higher, which is healthier for you, has a higher like dopamine source than like your milk chocolates. So it naturally gives you that feel good factor. But also you'll find if you're providing your body with a lot of vitamins and minerals as well, that is proven to be hugely beneficial for your mental health as well. Also, like we always encourage people to lead a healthy and active lifestyle too. So add in an element of exercise where you can, again, to give you that feel good factor, to get outside, give you some fresh air, be at one with nature. We encourage things like that. But you'll always find the closest like foods are to the ground, to your mouth, the better they are for you. You'll find them more nutritious. They don't tend to have the chemicals, the hormones, the stuff that can actually mess with your body's pH levels and things like that. So again, we just want to encourage you to eat great foods to give you that feel good factor, as well as give you great body composition results.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, totally get that. Um, so what are your tips on the types of treats that we can have, that we can incorporate in our diet? Because everybody likes a treat, and
Yeah.
and we all want to have something that we can nibble on and say, I've had a little bit of this or a little bit of that. Some people, I know, I hear people say, you know, I just can't stop myself. Once I start eating a certain thing, I'll just keep eating loads and loads of it. Um, if I'm in the right mindset, I know that I can maybe just have a little bit of chocolate and just a small little cube, and I have dark chocolate, so I'll make sure that that's okay, and that's it. Find it a lot harder to manage my intake of things like crisps. So I know if I eat that, if I start eating that, I could just sit in front of a whole bowl of crisps and just keep eating it. So what are some of the things that you could recommend that we could have as treats, and how much of it can we have?
Yeah. So the good thing with treats is like you can still have them. And like I said before, the more you tell yourself you can't have something, the more you actually crave it. But we believe in everything in moderation. So I'm a huge wine fan. I love a good gin and tonic. I love a good pizza. I love a good piece of chocolate cake, all those kind of things. But I understand now that food is fuel. And just like you put amazing premium fuel into a Ferrari, same rules actually apply with your body. Is you want to fuel it with that good effective fuel. But I also understand that occasionally we want to go out with friends, we want to be normal people. The last thing we want to do is be one of these people that trains like a hamster and eats like a rabbit, sits there with a lettuce leaf and is the
Yeah.
boring one of the group.
That's the
So
last thing. I mean, when I go out for meals, that's the last thing I want to do, is to think about. I would think, I would consider it to be a waste of a night out for a meal if I went out and I ordered a salad.
yeah,
I
me
would be
too.
thinking, oh my gosh, I could eat that at home. Why am I going out to go and order a salad and pay for it? So yeah, if I'm going out for a meal, it is about, well, I want to choose what I want to eat.
Yeah, yeah, and like the good thing is there is healthier alternatives out there. You'll find a lot of the time when we do overindulge, a lot of it will be portion control. A lot of it is when we overconsume foods, we'll actually be dehydrated. Our brain actually can't tell the difference between being hungry and dehydrated. So a couple of hints and tips that you can do is things like when you do have a takeaway or you have something naughty, have a big glass of water before you do. If you are having takeaways and things like that, try and go for things like dry rub meats, a portion of vegetables, reduce things like your starchy carbohydrate size, because I know often
Yeah.
with takeaways, it comes in like those big boxes and you feel
Mm.
obliged to eat it all. It's like, I've paid for it, so I've got to eat it all, even if you have
They're
to
just
microwave it the
so
day after.
big.
Yeah.
I can't get over how big the portions are. Even if you have fish and chips, or just a portion of chips, and they're small. I always just go, if I very rarely have takeaways. In fact, I'm not a takeaway person at all. But the most I will go is like I might go and treat myself to chips. I can't eat fish. I'm allergic to fish anyway. But I will go and I see these portions of the chips are just so large, and I just say to them, I think I do one scoop. That's what
Yeah.
I ask for, is one scoop, and it's huge. I just feel like that's so much. And then I hear people saying, oh, well, I want a large chips and a large chips. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we've become very
Yeah,
Americanized that we want value for money.
yeah.
And again, it's at the detriment of our waistline and what's going on internally. So if you can ask for like kid-size portions, great. A lot of people, often a lot of their excess calories will come from sauces as well, or side dishes. That's where it tends to mount up a lot. Plus it in
Hmm.
liquid calories as well. It's amazing how many people can actually ruin a result by going too extreme on a night out with those liquid calories that of course then result is binging the day after. So it's just about planning ahead if you can. There are things that you can do at home though, like we often in our customer support group do Fake Away Friday. So what we do is we just show people how they can still eat pizza, they can still have curry, how they can still do chicken kebabs, but you just do it the healthier way by making some simple swaps. And it's things like you make your own sauces, you make your own pizza base. The more control you have over what goes in that dish, you'll find the healthier you can actually make it. So there is some alternatives out there. The same rules even apply with chocolate cake. You can actually make chocolate cake healthier, because what you often find with shop bought chocolate cake often has a lot of refined sugars, a lot of like processed flour, whereas what you can do is simply like alternate with some healthier flours, slower reacting carbohydrates, natural sugars like honey and agave, and that's actually far healthier for you.
It's understanding and knowing where you would what you can substitute. I think that's really important, so that if you understand what it is that you can use instead of, then it's just so much better. But because I think what most of us are the same, it's the taste we like to taste that sweetness, or or that stuff that is our favorite food. So if we can recreate it but in a healthier way, it's a win-win situation then for everybody.
And I actually feel that lockdown has actually enabled people to build new skills as far as this is concerned. And I've seen a lot of my friends and a lot of my new customers have actually wanted to find healthier alternatives and wanted to learn the new skill of cooking healthier, getting their other half involved, a bit of a competition element, getting the kids involved, those kind of things. So like eating healthy can actually be fun. And the idea is if you can make it fun, if you can make it versatile, if you can enjoy the process, you're far more likely to stick at it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I think we haven't had any questions coming on. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing anyone, and I'm thinking, I'm just checking on the settings because there should be people coming in, so I'm not sure. The settings are fine, so there shouldn't be any reason why there isn't. But hopefully they will see this on the replay because it is in the group, so there's no reason why they shouldn't see it. So if somebody wants to work with you and have your support to help them through this whole period of, just going forward, not just for their wedding, but just going forward to be healthier, feel fitter, feel better in themselves, how can they do that?
So you can reach out to me on Facebook. For me, my Instagram and my Facebook inbox is always open. My phone's never too far from my side, so I'm always happy to connect, answer questions. Answer questions. And all our consultations are free initially. And there's no cost to actually have a consultation with us, and we can actually help you then just fix any bad stuff for better and fill in any gaps if you want to. We do also actually offer a free online support group, which is over 6,000 members at the moment. And in that Facebook support group, there is recipes, there's ideas, there's workouts, there's hints and tips. There's little things
I've just seen somebody comment saying that she's listening and she's taking it all in. So good.
Good.
It must be, I think, because it's a joint. I don't know why it's not showing that people are watching, but obviously she's just commented now to say she's been taking it all in. So which is good. So I'm glad, Paula, that you've commented, because I was a bit worried that people weren't going to see this, but fine. Sorry, carry on. Laura, what you
so in that group we do like a lot of nutrition education, Like, we're willing to one-on-one coach. We actually have that healthy active lifestyle community as well. We do like lots of different workouts like legs, bums and tums, yoga, combat, lots of different things that people can plug into. Also, then we have live cooking classes every Monday and Friday. So Monday is our MasterChef Monday, where a colleague of mine, Andy, often gets dressed up, sometimes as like a favorite celebrity or a favorite superhero. He likes to make his cooking fun. And he whizzes up something quick, convenient and easy that can feed you and your whole family. And then on Fridays, we actually do a fake away Friday. So we show people how they can have their favorite foods, but those healthier alternatives. So using ingredients that they've got readily available in the kitchen. So this week, tomorrow, we're actually doing a fake away pizza. So just showing people how they still
I need to try that, because I need to try that, because I don't really, I'm not a big pizza person, to be honest, but and we talked about cheese. You talked about cheese, didn't you? I think yesterday, and I'm more of a thin crust pizza person. I don't like the thick crust, so so I'm wondering how you can do like a fake pizza with with cheese. How do you do that?
So again, there is healthier alternatives when it comes to cheese. You'll always find with cheese, your soft cheeses are actually far more healthier than your harder cheeses. And we've got little tricks and hacks as well when it comes to your pizza base. Like if you're a thin crust person, then that's ideal, because you'll actually find they're much healthier for you than those thick loaded crust ones, all singing, all dancing. No, you just want to go for a lie down after you've eaten those.
I know. And the thing is, you can load it up. I suppose I'll be looking out for that actually tomorrow, because you can load it up with all the goodness, the peppers, the mushrooms, the, all of that. And then, as you say, if you're going to use like soft cheeses, then to put on it. Oh, so I quite like that idea. I'm going to be tuning in. So where can people tune in to all of that? What's the name of your group?
So our group is called Feel Fit, Healthier and Happier. So all you just need to do, I can actually put the link after we've done today.
Put the link in.
And if they just request to join and just put my name as the person that invited them, then all I will do is I will add you into the group and authorize that, tag you in a couple of videos just to show you how to best use the group. And I'm more than willing to reach out and have a conversation with you based on your goals, your needs, and of course what you want to achieve too.
Awesome. Hi, Charlotte. So Charlotte's just joined us, Charlotte Perot. Do you know Charlotte? I'm not sure if you...
we've connected recently.
Yeah, fab. So Charlotte is amazing. So she's just joined us. She's catching up on the replay. Okay. So is there anything else that you could tell us or you need to tell us at this time? Anyone who is sort of watching on the replay, or watching now even, if there's any questions that you have that you want to pop in here now. But if you're watching on the replay, just pop it in the comments. I will pick it up. Laura will pick them up. And there will be a link to Laura's group that she's told you about. Definitely try and get in there before the Fake Away Friday session tomorrow. But there's so much help in that group, helping you to eat healthily, be healthy, feel healthy. It's a fab group.
Yeah, and we try and make it as fun as possible as well, because like I said before, when things are fun and when it's not too much of that 180 shift, it's far more sustainable. And we want to make those lifestyle changes that you can incorporate, yes, for yourself, but for your whole family environment too, because it's really important that you live healthy long term, and of course that your family follow that suit too.
Yeah, fantastic. I've really enjoyed our chat, Laura.
It's been awesome.
I know. It's been really good. We need to probably do another one on Instagram, because you've got quite a big following on Instagram, haven't you?
Yeah.
It'd be really sort of good to maybe do a joint on there. I'm going to be sort of increasing more of these joints lives. Obviously, I did that first one. I think you were my very first one, weren't you? And then
Oh,
sort of
was
as
I?
we went on, I know, as we went on, then there was like those issues around the sound and all of that. So, but I am looking to sort of move that forward a bit more. And I'm calling them Wedding Chats with Paula.
Oh, that's
So,
cute.
so there'll be like joint ones. There'll be ones that will just be me. Maybe I'm going to have ones as well where brides can come on or couples can come on with me, have a chat about what's happening with them and their plans. So I'm hoping to build that up. So yeah, again, if you know anyone who's getting married or planning a wedding, needs any help, needs any support, just show them my way, point them in my direction. Yeah, we can keep the message alive.
Yes. Yeah, you can take the stress
Yeah.
out of it all for people.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the fact is, I think the good thing as well is that obviously with all of this that is happening, it's pushed me to develop quicker my online services, and very similar to you.
Mm.
It's just concentrating on making those online services work so much better. So yeah, that's really exciting. I've got so much going on in the background of how that is going to work, and yeah, the challenge is just, it's like a springboard as well for that. So all good.
Wow, sounds amazing.
Right, so good to have you on, Laura, and thank you to those of you who have managed to pop on live. But as I said, please do comment, and Laura or I will get back to you. So thanks again,
Thank
and
you for
I'll see
having
you
me.
soon, Laura.
Yeah, take
You're
care. Bye.
welcome. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening.
I will. Thank you, lovely.
Okay, bye. Okay, so that was the lovely Laura. Hope you all enjoyed it. Um, that was a really good session to enjoy the rest of your evening. Um, and I will see you very, very soon. Don't forget, book yourselves in to the Beat the Wedding Planning Overwhelm Challenge Workshop. Even if you've done it before, there is going to be so much more that you can learn. There is always something new that you can learn. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.